A.G. Ramakrishnan is someone whose career bridges two seemingly distant worlds, cutting-edge science and timeless tradition. An electrical engineer with an M.Tech and a PhD from IIT Madras, he has worked with some of the country's most prestigious institutions, including IIT Guwahati, IIT Hyderabad, and the Indian Institute of Science, where he was part of both the Department of Electrical Engineering and the Center for Neuroscience. His research focuses on the neuroscience of Pranayama, altered stages of consciousness, and the decoding of imagined words. But what stands out is how deeply rooted he remains in practices like yoga. For someone so firmly embedded in the world of research and technology, his passion for pranayama offers a rare and refreshing balance. Over the years, he has worn many hats: educator, editor, consultant, and researcher. He's been part of editorial boards, academic committees, and professional bodies like the Institute of Engineers. His work has earned him recognition, citations, and the respect of peers across disciplines. But more than titles, what defines him is how much he truly loves what he does. This episode is a deep dive into research, not just in labs and institutions, but in life itself. We explore how education should evolve and what meaningful research really looks like. This is Rebooting the Brain, and this episode is about alignment between curiosity and action, science and self, purpose and passion.
ജ്ഞാനാനന്ദമയം ദേവം നിർമ്മലസ്ഫടികാകൃതിം ആധാരം സർവവിദ്യാനാം ഹയഗ്രീവം ഉപാസ്മഹേ ആധാരം സർവവിദ്യാനാം ഹയഗ്രീവ ഉപാസ്മഹേ ഹയഗ്രീവ ഉപാസ്മഹേ.
Rebooting the Brain, powered by PRS Neurosciences. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste everybody. I'm Dr. Sharan Srinivasan. I love this shloka because this shloka has been my driving force for many decades now. To make you understand, the shloka is from ignorance to knowledge, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. That's what it literally translates to. But you can adapt this to any aspect of your life and see how you can modulate it. It is time immemorial. So try it, any of you, and see how you can really enlighten yourself, enrich yourself, educate yourself. That's what we are doing in this Rebooting the Brain podcast, creating awareness and education in the fields of neuroscience, mechatronics, and research. So before we start the podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share, and press the bell icon. And most importantly, after you like the podcast, whatever comes to your mind during watching, after watching, please put the comments below, because you never know, it may change somebody else's life. Impacting people's life is our goal, and your contribution makes a big difference. Today, we have a very important guest, a dear friend of mine, Professor Dr. A.G. Ramakrishnan. He was a former professor from the Indian Institute of Science, alias Tata Institute in Bangalore, India, and we have known each other since the year 2000-2002. A.G.R, we call him A.G.R for short. That's how I'm going to address him. A.G.R, welcome to our show. Great to see you here, buddy. So before we go ahead, can you tell our global viewers a little bit of yours of the way you want to world to know you as?
Thanks, Sharan. It has always been a pleasure to be with Sharan. My energy grows up whenever I am with Sharan. I retired from the Indian Institute of Science, Department of Electrical Engineering, and also Center for Neuroscience. And after that, I'm doing many things, whatever interests me, and whatever the universe asks me to do. And I'm teaching a part of a course on neuroscience of Pranayama in IIT Hyderabad. I also spend a part of my time as the head of business development of a startup, Boshini AI Solutions Limited. Then I'm also currently an organizational development consultant for IIIT Dharwad. Then I also spend quite some time promoting breathing exercises because I have found personally it gives a lot of benefit for people, irrespective of your age. Even people at the age of 90, they have benefited. So thank you so much, Sharan, for this opportunity.
Welcome. I'm really looking forward to this, A.G.R.
Research has three different types of, people do three types of research. One is real research. One is imaginary research.
I know. You want to explain to us.
I'll tell you. One
you have to.
One is complex research. Complex is not like it is complicated. That also is another meaning. Complex is like in mathematics, you will say complex numbers. Real plus imaginary numbers. Right?
Confused.
I plus 1 plus J2 and all that. You might have heard somewhere. See, what you talk about is real brain and all that. That's okay. But in research also, see, I feel we should work on real problems. Like
Correct.
if you look at Bangalore, no, traffic is a major problem.
Real problem.
Real problem. And, civil engineers and other people, I think we need to really work out what kind of systems and society we should create to minimize it.
So, you heard what A.G.R spoke. The list is fascinating, long. You must be thinking, this guy must be a pedigree guy. Let us do a DNA test for him. He can't be the ordinary run-of-the-mill guy like most of us are, coming from a small town and things like that. No. He must have gone to elite schools. He must be an Anglo-Saxon, lineage and all of those things. Quite sure, no? I'm telling you, if you listen to what A.G.R, how he grew up, his childhood, what he does, you will love it because he's like any of us. Somebody who's come from the classical Indian, growth from where he was to where he is. So I think, A.G.R, that's the best place to start because you set such high expectations with all that you said. So let us start from the ground zero, or what you call. I know you have a connection to Bangalore in the beginning that you were born here, but I think I want you to tell our global viewers that how you are not an extraordinary guy. You're just from a guy from an ordinary background with an extraordinary vision, and universe obviously played with you as because you were playing the game to get to where you are today.
Thank you. So I'm basically from Tamil Nadu. Mother tongue is Tamil. I studied entire education I did in Tamil Nadu from first standard. I didn't do any LKG, UKG.
Oh,
directly first standard. And I think I started learning English in the third standard or something.
Okay. So Tamil medium was your...
Yeah, till PUC I did in Tamil medium. And in different cities, different schools, all over Tamil Nadu, because my father had 13 transfers in his life.
13 transfers, huh?
Yeah. Fifth standard alone, I studied in 3 different schools.
My goodness. What's so special your dad was doing that he was going around like that?
He was in income tax department.
Oh.
And that department, you can do many things. And he didn't want to dance to certain people. So they kept on transferring. And he said, I don't care. You put me to Timbuktu, I'll go. No problem.
Very sad. It's very sad that we have to do something for this, to break this jinx. Anyway, that's a different story.
So that was my childhood. So I studied all over Tamil Nadu. Then my BE was from PhD Tech. PUC also I did in Coimbatore.
So how did you get into BE? Did you want to be an engineer? Like I always tell people, I want to be a neurosurgeon from 8th standard because of some book I read and things like that. Do you have something similar stuff for you?
I wish I can say something like that. It just happened. So, those days knowledge of the outside world was almost zero.
Zero. No internet also.
No internet,
no 4G,
the only
no
thing was some Vivitha Bharati or some
Vivitha Bharati.
radio from this thing, Sri Lanka and all that.
Correct, Sri Lankan. Air Ceylon, Radio Ceylon.
Radio Ceylon or something
I
used to be
remember
there,
that.
that's all. So, and when my father built a house outskirts of Chennai, so I saw that they used to call somebody as engineer, he was a civil engineer, much later I know, but he used to be called engineer, he used to. So my only knowledge of engineer is somebody who will build houses. Beyond that, I don't know anything. And everybody used to say, oh, you are very good in mathematics, so you'll become an engineer. So I thought maybe I'll become an engineer.
You did 1 plus 1 and made it 22, 44, some number you made.
So when I finished PUC, I didn't try anything else. I just tried for engineering. Of course, I was good in studies because that's the only thing I knew.
You're one of those days, go, used to be studying like that.
Bookworm, no? Kind
bookworm.
That's all. So I got admission in one of the good colleges in Coimbatore. And those days it was 5 years BE. So it's not like today, it's only 4 years and you select the branch as depending on your entrance exam marks or something. There you just get admission to engineering. That's it. First 2 years you do general studies at maths, physics, chemistry, English, Tamil, all that. And at the end of second year, you give a choice 1, 2, 3 based on your scores and all that. You are allotted a branch.
That? And why is it changed now? That 2 years, you don't know.
So, and I chose electronics and communication only because all my classmates, my close friends, they all chose. So I blindly chose.
Mob mentality, crowd
so
mentality.
Also, it's not a very considered choice. I didn't have any clarity on that. I just did something.
Amazing. It's like that Mumbai train, no? You get it wherever that crowd takes you, you just start moving in that direction.
And then when I finished my BE, so before coming to BE, I came to know during my later part of PUC, there's something called IIT and,
How did you come to know
my
about
classmates who are in from the English medium, they were
all... you had that also, your English medium and Tamil medium there, in your engineering?
Yeah, we had around 90 students. The first half of it was English medium students because CBSE results came much before. They all got admitted 2 weeks before us. So the later part was all Tamil medium and it was clearly divided. I'm the only bat who used to once in a while go and talk to them because I was okay in English but not very good in speaking. But I used to go and then they were all filling up some forms and putting...
Only the English guys?
English guys. And some of them, they were putting some photograph and that's the first time I see a passport photograph in my life.
What are you saying? Really?
Yes, really.
You're too much. Which loca were you living? Yeah.
So then I asked, what is it you're filling? They said, IIT, we are applying for JEE and all. What is IIT? What is this? So came to know slowly. Then I thought I should also apply. Then I applied. Of course, I didn't get it. That's so.
You didn't go for any of these IIT tuitions. Now people starting for thirds.
I didn't even know that there was a tuition. Only when I wrote the JEE, I saw one of my friends. I said, I didn't see you for a long time. He said, I went to Chennai for brilliant coaching. What is it, brilliant coaching? Then I came to know that there are, you can train outside, all that. I just studied something myself. I failed in chemistry. So it was a big hit. Because
what was a big hit? The failure?
Because always I was a good student, first rank, second rank kind of thing. And now I'm failing in an entrance exam. So
it was an insult.
So I said, it's a real insult. So I have to do something.
Correct.
So I was always there at the back of the mind. So when I finished my BE,
so then you didn't get IIT.
I should go to IIT, kind of.
So you are like one.
So it's just that. That's the no other big.
Like a Bhishma Pitama decision.
No big, lifetime decision of what I should be a great engineer. Nothing. I missed IIT. I should make it now. So I studied and got it. IIT Madras.
Okay.
So I joined.
That's for your MTech.
MTech in electrical engineering. So I finished MTech.
But you were telling something that you had written letters to everybody. What was that? Where did that come? Something you were telling me.
Yeah, because this time I wanted to make sure that I get it. Last time I failed, no?
Correct.
So that is still
there. So you had a backup plan.
So I have to be really prepared.
Correct.
And so I don't think there was coaching because each IITs had their own exam.
Are you? Really?
This GATE had not come.
Oh,
so
my
IIT
goodness.
Madras had a CIPA and IAC had some exam and all that. So I wrote some 2-3 exams. I remember coming and staying in Malleshwaram and writing the IAC entrance exam. So I wrote to many IITs, Department of Electrical Engineering or Electronics if it existed, the head of the department. Those days it's all, you have to write a paper, a letter and then post it and You get a reply if you are lucky after 10 days. The only one reply I got it from IIT
What did you
Madras.
write in that letter?
I said I am trying for this thing. I have graduated and I am trying for a MTech and I want to know how to prepare for your entrance exam.
Let me be honest. Did you really think somebody is going to reply to you? I'm asking you. I'm honestly.
Yeah. if I didn't expect, then why would I have written to tell me? If you think it is foolish, that is what I told you. That is all I know.
I'm wondering which HOD will reply hundreds of followers.
One Professor V.G.K. Murthy, an amazing guy.
He responded, huh?
He circuits. He wrote in his hand. He wrote a nice letter.
Oh, very
These
nice.
are the syllabus, and you can prepare like this and all that.
Very nice.
And
From where? IIT Madras.
IIT Madras. So already I was sold to IIT Madras. This is the only person who replied to me. They care for people like that.
Correct.
No other response. But if I were you, probably I would have thought differently. But that time I was.
That is the thing. Original A.G.R.
So this is a man. This is the place I want to go, and I landed there. Okay. So that is all. And then when I finished my MTech, I used to go to Chinmaya Mission. By the time I was in my final year BE, I'll tell you the story later. I was in Chinmaya Mission. So I used to attend talks and all that. So, in the childhood, at that age, you have all these purist ideas. People say, you'll be more towards this communism or that kind of puristic thinking. I said, that time this color TV was just coming up as
1982
a big important area, right? So that was the biggest research area in electrical engineering. I said we shouldn't work in these things. It's only entertainment. We should do something real. Okay. So one of my hostel mates was working in a biomedical engineering division, which is in another department called applied mechanics.
Okay.
So I used to go there and see what he's doing. So they were doing something interesting, looking at brain waves and all that. So I thought this is a good, and I met his guide. He was a very nice human being.
You remember his name?
T.M. Srinivasan.
Okay.
So then I decided if I do PhD, I have to do it here.
Okay.
I didn't even apply to electrical engineering. I applied only to that department.
For PhD?
Yes. He asked me why you didn't apply to electrical engineering. I said, see, I don't want to do anything. If I get, I will get it. Otherwise, I'll go for some job. And I got it, of course. So that was the thing. And it was a very wonderful experience. He had a lot of doctors as friends. That's how I got to 2 days he asked us to go to Rayapeta hospital and stay there in the hospital. So look at the cardiology department and all that. We were there simply looking at what all is happening.
We're just exploring.
Exploring, knowing, because the area is biomedical engineering.
So you go and see what the needs are.
And I have heard at least 20-30 talks from very famous doctors. Anybody passes through in Chennai, he will know, he will call them and this thing. And all research students, irrespective of area.
In ISC only?
In IIT Madras, he will come to our lab. Whether you are from mechanical engineering or, any other department, because we had my biomechanics, biofluid dynamics, and then electronics. All students must attend. Otherwise, he'll ask next day you have to report. But I used to love those this thing, because it's like real this thing, and they used to tell us,
real life problems and their challenges and all that.
Yes.
That's right.
And then for my PhD, I worked on leprosy patients. I developed a evoked potential system.
You developed your own stuff?
Yes.
Oh.
Those days, the first PCXT had come. IBM PCXT just came into the India, and we were one of the labs. We had it.
Okay.
It's a 5 megahertz processor.
Okay.
So on that I developed, and I went to Chengalpet. That is the institute, CLTRI.
Correct.
So that deputy director was a very nice man, Srinivasa Rao. So he, in fact, he even took me to his house once and all that. I stayed in the guest house and collected data from around 22 patients, analyzed that, and also got from normals and all that. I got a paper in International Journal of Leprosy. And I also got an award from Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons for my PhD work.
So 2 things I want to ask you. You said on one side EMG machine, you said for the
evoked potential.
Evoked potential.
You can also take EMG. I have.
Other side you spoke about EEG.
Right.
What is which EEG also you did some work, you told me. What was that work you did on the EEG, the brain signals? EEG is electroencephalogram, not ECG is electrocardiogram. Same concept, but you take the electrical signals from the brain for the viewers who don't know about EEG. So you can tell us what was your thing on EEG in your MTech?
EEG, I told you, I got introduced to this man during my MTech itself.
Correct.
So my MTech project itself, I did it with him.
Who this Mr. Srinivasan?
Srinivasan.
Huh.
So,
On EEG.
On EEG.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, we didn't record EEG. EEG data was there. So, I modeled it and extracted some parameters, time domain parameters for EEG analysis or something like that.
So that was your first
exposure to EEG.
EEG, because I know you have done so much work on EEG. So it's very interesting, viewers, how certain things that comes your way early enough can actually model your future, interests or what you can do. You also told me that you worked with a neurologist in his clinic or something. When was that?
As part of my PhD, I told you I developed a yoga potential system. So I wanted to see, I told you my guide also is somebody who always worked with doctors.
Correct.
So he told me that you go and meet that, I have talked to him, you go and meet that director of CLTRA. He didn't come or anything. I only went there, introduced myself and all that. So then I realized that, but they had a potential system, but which was locked and closed. Yeah. Many hospitals do that.
Yes.
So they had those days they had spent 7 lakhs and it was
beautifully locked. I have seen so many.
I think they
like
may open it only during Saraswati Puja.
Ayudha Puja probably.
So they didn't know anything about it. So then I thought I should find out, and so I met this SSKIR. So he was
Who was in Chengalpet?
No, he was in Chennai.
Chennai. Huh.
So I used to go and talk to him, and he taught me many things about EMG.
He's a neurologist.
Yes, sensory nerve action potentials, motor nerve action potential, EEG. He gave me a book. I read that entire book on that is more for the clinicians, where to record, what to record, that kind of things. I read the whole book. Very interesting thing and all. And later what happened, his machine got some issue.
Malfunction.
So he had to replace the board, and it took some 3-4 months to get it from US. He has a Metronics or some other this thing. Then I took my system and kept it in his clinic, and I became his technician for 3-4 months. It was an amazing experience working on, I collected EMG from almost all muscles. And I collected
needed, unneeded,
auditory evoked potentials, so somatosensory evoked potential, visual evoked potentials. You became an ustad. So that was a great experience.
Amazing.
So that is, and much later, whenever he used to come to Bangalore, he used to visit me.
Oh, so
we became so close.
Yeah, of course. Somebody, I don't think everybody is crazy like you to do all this. What? Sonna vela panna poro they say, no? At least you do what you can say. It is enough. I think you did much more than that probably. That's why you must have been happy. But I think that time students are also much more driven than what they are today. I think students are today, there's too much of this AR, VR, MR happening, virtual reality, mixed reality, what else? Then augmented reality. And whenever I go to a tech seminar and I talk to a mixed audience, I always tell them, greetings from the Silicon Valley of India, which is Bangalore. I come from the original IT industry, which is a central nervous system. That's what I tell. So everybody's looking like this. What's this guy talking? When they say doctor talking, then I say all of you have heard VR, AR, MR, everything. I come from a world called RR, not RRR movie. Double R, and like what my board they say, it's real reality. My patients are real, their suffering is real, my solutions are real, the treatment is real, the results are real. There's nothing virtual about it. You guys are so stuck in this virtual world, you have no idea what's happening in the real world. And they have to come out, especially with this work from home, this going on, no? They have to remove all these things and listen to, the things that is going outside, what the world is, struggling, what the people are suffering. Only then I think we can come up with, simple but real solutions to this. I'm hoping that through this podcast, talking to people like you, you can inspire people to make this happen, because they should hear that you didn't sit in IIT Madras in the compound, get your MTech. You are out on the street, out in the world, trying to work for different people, doing different things. I think that's very valuable.
Related to the real reality. See, senior professors are asked to give a lecture to the whole audience of institute. So not everybody gets that opportunity. So I got that opportunity. So
where in
IISc? Did some few years back. So it's called institute lecture or something like that. So I said that research has 3 different types of, people do 3 types of research. One is real research. One is imaginary research.
I
One
don't.
is,
You want to explain to us?
I'll tell you. One
You
is,
have to.
One is complex research. Complex is not like it is complicated. That also is another meaning. Complex is like in mathematics, you will say complex numbers. Real plus imaginary numbers, right? I plus
confused.
1 plus J2 and all that. You might have heard somewhere.
Yeah.
See, what you talk about is real brain and all that. That's okay. But in research also, see, I feel we should work on real problems. Like
Correct.
if you look at Bangalore, no, traffic is a major problem.
Real problem.
Real problem. And, civil engineers and other people, I think we need to really work out what kind of systems and society we should create to minimize this.
I want to add here. Suddenly, last 3 days, there's been a massive traffic jam on the road, which never have a jam. I said, they made all these things happen. What's going on? I asked somebody. Sir, I don't know, AI they put some AI into signaling, it seems.
Oh, God.
And the AI signaling is supposed to make life better. And a massive jam. Sorry to say that it was the wrong application.
So, that is, and like that, there are pollution. There are so many things.
Potholes.
All that. But most people, even in IITs and IISc, they do some research because some European is doing it or American is doing it. And sometimes I feel, it's not relevant to
India.
The world around, They're not looking at the problems. So I always like to work with a real doctor, somebody else. I used to ask doctors, what is it that I can do? Like that I worked in many these things. So this is real. Imaginary is you just simulate some data and then put all these algorithms and then you can get some papers. After all, every institute wants you to publish papers. Whether it is useful or not, nobody asks. Even UGC doesn't ask.
Nobody
and
asks.
It's very unfortunate. That
Very
has
unfortunate.
promoted all this, fake journals, so many things. And then some people are in between. Some real, some imaginary. I have also done a little bit of complex research because many times you cannot get real signals of all the kinds that you want. Like in COVID, we want to do something and we couldn't get all the signals. So some signals we record and some other signals we simulate. And then, so that I call complex.
So like a chow partner.
So I tell them, see, I have worked on speech signals, I worked on MRI, I worked on ECG, I worked on EMG, I worked on evoked potentials, I worked on ultrasound images. All of this data I have recorded.
From real patients. Real.
This thing. And I worked on OCR,
I know.
And I went to old libraries, begged them to get old books because OCR have to work on very old books.
Please tell our guests what is OCR.
OCR is actually optical character recognition. When you have a printed book or a printed pamphlet, it may be color or black and white, you want that to become a editable text on the computer. So you scan it on a scanner or
editable text.
Yes. You take a photograph with your mobile or something, it becomes an image. That image you feed it into the computer, it decodes that and gets up to the character level information with the organization of the data and all that. You can directly put it into Microsoft Word or any other editor and you can start editing that.
Interesting.
And modify that. Suppose you have old form and you want some changes.
Correct.
You can just use this. It will give you an editable form and you can modify it.
Makes your life easier.
We use that quite a bit to convert printed books into braille books and audio books for blind people.
Oh, very nice.
So I would have collected at least few hundred books.
Okay.
And going back to around 50 years, 1950 onwards, we collected books. And many of these books we had to go to the library.
Or in Tamil or?
Tamil and Kannada.
Tamil and Kannada.
Initially, I decided everybody is working in English. I will not work on English.
Fantastic.
Only Tamil, Kannada.
I think so. That is very valuable.
But later I realized that there are very rarely books which are only Tamil or only Kannada. Because even if you look at when I study in Tamil medium, in this science books, they will say some Kariyamalam Vayu. Nobody will understand. So within bracket, they say carbon dioxide. So there will be English and this thing. And like the olden times, you would have seen all the bank forms, you will have Hindi, English and Kannada.
Correct.
So there are always texts which are having at least 2 languages, sometimes 3 languages. So we did many of this. So when I first started working on this character recognition, one of my colleagues said, from the other department, this is not even research. Nobody will recognize you. They have already done it for English. So why are you just doing it? It's just development. I said, even if it is development, somebody has to do it for Indian languages.
Correct.
That is how I started.
Correct.
But later this opened up this kind of new research areas, and we even filed a patent for this thing because, people have not worked on this kind of the language changing at the level of the word is unique in India. Because in US and China and all, they have one language. We have this thing that you will have Kannada and then in between English.
Correct.
Or you have something else in between Hindi.
It's a multilingual.
So language can change at the level of word. People have worked on language changing at the level of paragraph. So this was a new topic that we created.
And Tamil is quite a difficult script for it to read, no? Well, you found Tamil OCR difficult or the Kannada OCR difficult from the technology perspective?
Kannada is a little more difficult.
Kannada is difficult, huh?
Because you have that Ottu, na?
Ottu. Tamil doesn't have that Ottu.
Kannada has this half consonants called Ottu, and this half consonant go below the.
Correct.
So especially in older books, if you see that they will not be in a very clearly spaced. See, there are some of the matras of the next line will overlap with the
on top and bottom.
Sometimes they even touch. And you have multiple Ottu. The Tra is there. You have a Ta Ottu and the Ra Ottu, and they will touch.
Correct.
So there are a lot of
challenges there.
Challenges in Kannada compared to Tamil.
I always thought Kannada was an easier language than Tamil. But
Tamil also has less number of characters compared to most Indian languages.
Okay.
Because you have Kaka Gaghanga. That is there in most Indian languages.
Because it's all Sanskrit based.
Yeah. In Tamil, we have only Ka and Nga.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
But the sound wise, we have Ka, Ga and Nga. But there is a clear grammar rules where Ka is pronounced as Ga. Like that.
Interesting.
So it's kind of
very interesting. We'll come back to OCR work, the language work a little later. See, I know you are big time into spirituality in different ways, not in a religious way, but as a scientist, you have looked at a lot of things. So how did you come across this, and what was your sort of tryst with this whole thing?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So
we love stories, because we on Rebooting Brain podcast, we love our guests to tell us stories because people relate to some story in their life and see parallels.
So whenever people say, recently somebody asked, you give a list of people who influenced your life. So I put one of them is Christian, who was my classmate in BE. So he was an evangelist. That, of course, those days I don't even know the word evangelist. But he was trying to convert me, Jesus is full of love. Krishna asked Arjuna to kill and all that kind of things. And he even took me to one of those evangelist camp. Somebody was shouting, Mary accepted Christ and she went to heaven, and some Lalita did not accept Christ, she died of cancer. You chose like that.
You promote it, but don't put down somebody else. That's the most important
thing. That. And I was attached to Hinduism, but I didn't know the fundamental tenets of it. So I felt upset, but I had nothing to reply. He used to question me and all that. Then I went to Vinayak temple, sat there for hours together. I said, you should tell me. I should be able to get the knowledge to reply back. And
one more project for you.
Yes. So probably, I think my prayer was answered. Within a week, I got connected to Swami Chinmayananda. And then many years, I used to attend his Bhagavad Gita classes, Upanishads. I learned a lot. And at least theoretically, I can tell you the important tenets of our Upanishad, Advaita and all that. And much later, from Chinmayananda, I went to J. Krishnamurti. And J. Krishnamurti also, I had the luck to attend his talks for 2-3 years. He used to come to A.G.R. when I was in IIT Madras. I used to attend his talks. And later I came to Bangalore, and then I attended landmark education, which was I still think it is kind of spiritual, but they don't talk of God and all that, but it is really making you a human being, where we met. We were lucky.
Yes. I think so. I think the quasi spiritual connection. You didn't look at me as a doctor. I didn't look at you as a scientist of IIC. I think as human beings we connected. I think that's why this relationship has lasted beyond that, because I think we connected at a very different level. So for the audience, we met at the landmark education, and he was senior in landmark in the way of he was a coach already, and I was a coachee, troubling people. I was very mischievous right from school. I was terrible as a child. So I continued that, I was one of the few coaches who used to call the coach and says, where are you? I need coaching from you, and things like that. So that's where we met, and I think our relationship has been great. I agree. I also benefited a lot from landmark education. No question
Now I
about
understand mischievous children turn out to be great.
that.
Later.
Oh, since you're mentioning that, I was so mischievous as a child. My mother used to be called to school 4 times a year. Itna bada list of complaints. She was so fed up with me. The only reason that, every marks card used to have the small
Krishna
remarks.
was also very mischievous.
Huh?
Krishna was also very mischievous.
Small remarks column. They would write small. The teacher disturbs the class, talkative in class, does this, doesn't do this. You won't believe it. Just for a trivia, in 6th standard, in my school,
Yeah.
I used to write impositions in advance, A.G.R. 100.
Very
Because
good.
every other day I used to get stuck. Do homework, don't do homework, polish shoe, don't polish shoe, don't polish shoe, polish shoe. But whatever, some classes like this. And the problem was, all this had to be done after the school hours. After that. And that was my playtime. And I had no time to waste to writing this imposition. So in the class, when they give assignments, I used to write very fast. So by the time rest of the class finished, I should have spare time. So I should take my paper and keep on writing 100, because they used to ask us to write 100. So chuck, I used to give off. And this, how you wrote so fast? I said, I do like this, I'll go. One day I thought, how many times write the same thing? So she would leave my imposition there and go, because I should write fast. I give off now. So the same imposition I circulated 17 times.
So
I'll take it back.
The content will be same.
Huh.
Okay.
Because every other day, same problem I used to get stuck in. Nothing, there's nothing.
So
this one
you'll write something like, I will be a good boy. What is
No. I will polish my shoe regularly.
Oh, okay.
I will do my homework. Or something like this. The same stuff is happening every day. It's like a daily wages.
Okay.
So 18 times she said, this looks like the same thing you wrote last time, but I got stuck in it. Like that, But I was so mischievous. Even my teachers, even medical school, I was terrible. So it's like this. So I have not changed much. And I don't think I want to change it. I love being mischievous. That's what it is. Anyway, but wellness is not lack of sickness. I mean, not because you're not sick. In fact, if you look at the WHO's definition of health, it says health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease, deformity, or infirmity. Just because you don't have a disease, it doesn't mean you're well. It's a positive state. So what you're stating is a positive state.
Exactly.
What I'm doing is then not having the negative state. So somewhere the sickness and wellness has to overlap and take over. So coming back to more serious topic about that. So I understand that you did a lot of these things. So what was your exposure to language? You said that language was a big area for you. You got impacted in, and you worked a lot on language. So what are the different things that you did in language, personally and professionally?
So it happened like this. When I joined the Indian Institute of Science.
You didn't tell us that.
Ah.
See, you said you took the IIC exam in Malleshwaram.
Right.
Then what happened? You left the story hanging like that. So you joined up IIT Madras, you said. Then how did you now jump from IIT Madras to IIC?
See, after once I got IIT Madras admission, immediately we paid that. They asked you to pay some fees. We paid.
Correct.
After some 2 weeks, I got an interview from IIC.
Okay.
Only entrance was not enough. IIT Madras gave admission based on just entrance. Here they called me for an interview. I had to come from Coimbatore, spending time and money. My father said, let's not waste money. We already paid there. You don't need to go. And IIC was unknown. That day and today. People know more about IITs than
Correct.
IIC.
I agree.
So that's what.
Even I live about 1.5 kilometers from IIC, but very few of them know about it. I wonder why. You being an insider, tell us some juice about that. We have a famous news anchor who says,
personally consider,
India
this is
wants
my
to,
view.
India wants to know. No, it's like that.
This
India
is
wants
my
to
personal
know.
view. They think too much of themselves. They think, I am so great that everybody should know. But today's world doesn't work like that. You know that, today's world is, you need to have a presence in the web world. You need to be in the mass media and all that.
Very true.
They don't do it. We need to. One of my friends from IIT Madras used to say, nobody will trumpet you for you. You have to you have to be your own trumpet.
Yes, my dad told me the same thing, and I'm shameless. He said, Sharan, you have to learn to market yourself. Nobody
as
will
long
do it
as it's not for your own self-aggrandizement.
Yes, of course. You see, a patient should know you do this surgery. No, if they don't know I do this surgery, then what do I do? There's
How
no
will
point holding a
anybody
skill.
know and come to you?
Yes.
Exactly.
Because then the others, they're suffering, and I'm having a skill, I'm doing nothing about it.
Right.
So there's frustration on both sides. So then I deviated.
Even till today, they don't have a great PR person. They put somebody else who has no other work as also you take care of PR.
That won't work. See, that's what you have to understand, appreciate Americans. So when I went to Japan for my fellowship in 2015, I had known a little bit about Japan, but not so much. Japanese are very quiet, not those flamboyant guys. So halfway through my fellowship, I told my professor, "Sir, I have a complaint against you Japanese." And he was a little, worried what, you know how they are, no? Very sensitive people. He looked at me like this with a very worrying look. He said, "Sir, you Japanese do $10,000 worth of work and speak $10. The Americans do $10 worth of work and speak $10,000. We people are seeing what is they're showing and not what they're doing. It's a disservice for people like us because we don't even know that good work is happening." So you have to change that, because as an Asian, it's easier and cheaper for me to go to Japan than to go to America. And they are teaching us cost-effective treatments that I can use on my countrymen who can't afford. So that's what you are also saying in the same way, that we need to know. That is what I call Indianizing this whole thing. And we need to know what people are doing. So I can completely relate to what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you were asking about the language.
Correct.
So one of my senior professors from IIC, he wanted to develop an artificial eye. That was his this thing. That time there was this thing also
something was bionic eye or
some
something.
Newspapers that all came out, and then maybe IEEE Spectrum had an issue or something like that. So coming from a biomedical background, I said, okay, let us do something. We met many doctors, eye surgeons in Bangalore. We went to All India Institute of Medical Sciences and NIMANS and all those people. Finally, somehow nothing got started, and one day I told him, "Sir, I have wasted too much of time. I cannot do this any longer. 2 years have passed by. I collected this many papers and all that."
You need a lorry to carry the paper.
He's a senior man and he has got all his promotion and everything. But I have to do something. Then he was a little upset, but I came off, and then I started thinking. But that started moving. I used to think about it. Then I thought, I can't work with biologists and I can't work with doctors, because at least in that this thing, nothing moved. Then I said, let me do what I can do as an engineer. So I thought I will develop something which will help the blind people. We created this thing that blind people will be able to read any book or document that we can read with same kind of ease. That is one of the future this thing we created in our lab.
How is that possible? It's a device?
At that time, we didn't say clearly whether it is device or something. We developed technology. It could be. There are also devices which they use in library. Our library also has one. It has a base and it has a camera on the top. You open a book and put it. It will scan it. And back end, there will be a English OCR. It will recognize the text. Like I told you, it will become editable text. And it will also come out as a speech. So people can just read it. Even though you don't have eyes, you can use that machine as your eye, and you can listen to that. That was already there in English.
Okay.
So
it's already there.
Already there. So what I thought is we will develop similar thing for our Indian languages.
Okay.
So I started working in OCR first.
Okay.
So we developed a reasonably good one, and we worked with an NGO in Chennai. Around 500-600 books from many blind students. We converted them to Braille books. Then we realized that, it is better to finally get it in a speech. So we also started working on what is called text-to-speech. Text-to-speech is the input is your text in a standard format like Unicode. You must have heard ASCII characters, which is a representation for English characters in coded language. Correct. So similarly, there is an international standard called Unicode for any language of the world today. So when you are
Except
able to...
English.
No, including English.
Okay.
Because now you can switch the language in many of the word processor and all that. You will be able to see
in
text.
Google text or whatever.
You can see text in Kannada or even Chinese or whatever.
Correct.
So they have an international representation which has a code for a language and the code for a character. So it's called Unicode. So once you have text input as Unicode, this thing converts it into speech in a human language, as if your human is speaking. At that time, technology was not so great. I'm talking about 20 years. I started in 2000. And slowly we developed both this and that. And with that, we also converted all the school books of Karnataka in Kannada books into audio books.
Okay.
And we distributed to all the schools also.
Very nice.
So, and we got... and one of my great students, Shivakumar, whose startup I still work with.
Correct. I know. I met him.
We got 2 international awards. And he, as a student, he also got some national award. in the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Oh, very nice. I didn't know that.
And now
Oh.
he continues that as in his startup, where I go once a week.
Oh, that startup you mentioned to us.
Yes, and just 1 month ago we released an Android app,
Okay.
which if somebody who has speech disability,
Mhm.
they can, if otherwise their cognition is good and the hand is good, they can type it in Kannada or Tamil or Hindi or whatever language, and it will speak out. I can't speak because of whatever, maybe a surgery or some other issue. Then I type it and then I can speak to you. That will
So
speak
that'll
to
come
you.
as a song. Oh, very
So
nice.
you can reply like that.
I think we should try that
and
in our. We should try that in our-
surprisingly, some blind students are also started using it. There are some people who are employees of Karnataka government. One person is working in a court. And so he says, even though government has taken them under a special quota, they still get the PDF documents in Kannada. They can't as it is read, but PDF document. So he said, why don't you introduce this also? Put OCR also, whatever documents we get, that should also be read. So we have already incorporated that.
Really?
So we are testing it now.
Okay.
In another week, we will upload it into
In Karnataka courts, sir?
Google Play Store. So all blind students can read any text. They get it in this thing as a message or in WhatsApp or as a document, whether it is Word or PDF or anything. So, and both of these apps have also translation facility. You can translate between Indian languages and English.
You can select and translate.
You can
huh?
select, yeah.
Oh.
So,
How many languages like that you have?
so text to speech, we have all the South Indian languages.
Okay.
Hindi,
Okay.
Bangla, and Marathi,
Malayalam?
and English. All South Indian languages. Malayalam,
apart from the South Indian, you're saying this. Okay.
Yes. And translation, we are using somebody else's app that almost covers all the language, all the major languages.
Very interesting.
All the
And
scheduled
how is
languages.
the accuracy of the translation?
I would say around 95%.
I'll tell you why I'm asking. See, now you have this, the bus broke down, translates to Kannada as bus murdoitu. Literally. Are you getting translations like that? Because it doesn't translate like that. As I understand, our languages are very different. Does it translate literally like this and somebody has to understand it, or how does it work?
See, traditionally people used to develop translation based on linguistic knowledge. You break it down. Suppose hogittu, suppose is there, then it will go to the root word hogu, and then it's a past tense and all that, and then rebuild hogu. It will translate to the destination language, and then again rebuild that to this thing. But nowadays in AI, it's all data based. You know that. So you have 1 million Kannada sentences and 1 million Tamil or Hindi sentences, and it learns. So in that, in one way, sometimes you get unexpectedly very good result. Sometimes, like what you are saying, it could be really bad. So it all depends on the amount of data and the quality of the data that you get.
So again, it comes to the same thing: amount of data, quality of data, inputting data. Comes to the same thing, guys. Everybody wants to do output AI. No, very few people are interested to put in the inputs correctly. That's what I've been constantly, blowing hot, blowing cold. So here's one more expert saying the same thing, guys. You have to input the data. Remember one thing: don't make mistakes. Don't give us, if it's a scolding word, from one language to another language. Be careful, others you can run into trouble, and things like that. I think that's very interesting. So OCR, you have done a lot of work on OCR. It's fantastic. So what about this pranayama? You seem to be very passionate of pranayama. Where did this pranayama? You are an electrical engineer, gone into signal processing. Now then you did OCR. Then suddenly this pranayama. No, what's going on?
During my MTech, we had a classmate. He was also from Bangalore. I seem to have a lot of connections, good connections to Bangalore.
No wonder you have finally settled down here.
So he was a yoga teacher during his school days itself, he told us.
Okay.
So in our hostel wing, we had 32 people. Out of that, around 16 people used to learn yoga from him. And he was a very good teacher. Kumar was his name. So I generally knew yoga, and I used to do whatever I do. I tell that I'm irregularly regular. Neither I leave it completely nor I do it very regularly, but I keep visiting it again. So I knew something about this thing.
At least thanks for being honest about it.
So it was like that. So, and in Landmark, when I was a seminar leader, it used to be very, very intense.
Stressful.
Very stressful. Lot of work and late nights, early mornings and all that. And also maybe partly genetic from my mother's side also. I got into BP,
Okay.
for many
High
years.
BP.
High BP. So many years, I used to take medicine for hypertension. And as you know, as a doctor, because it's not a cure.
True.
It's only maintenance or control, whatever you may call it. So it goes on, the dosage went on increasing slowly. I was doing walking, whatever, to the extent possible, whatever. Don't eat this, don't eat that, all that. Then
All the samosas and pakoras. All.
And when you eat, you get this thing,
Correct.
Guilty.
Correct.
So after many years, one of my students introduced me to some pranayama techniques. I learned pranayama and some advanced pranayama, some meditation. And I did it very systematically for a year.
Okay.
And slowly my BP came under control.
Really?
Yes. So
Interesting.
earlier, if I don't take pills for one day, then I'll get a little dizzy or I won't get good sleep. Now I saw that those kind of dependencies went off.
Not happening. Okay.
Then I started wondering, what is this? I'm doing breathing. And how is it changing something in my heart? And for your information, those days my heart rate used to be around 82.
Okay.
Now it is around 70.
Baseline has come
It
down.
has come down. Okay. And I'm not a tennis player. Okay. I don't do any other exercise. So body does something. So I thought there is a connection. So I went through some of the yoga papers in India, but they don't give a mechanism. They only say you do this so many times, BP will reduce. You do this and something else will improve. Then I had to read literature from all over the world and also about the pulmonary, physiology, heart and any connection. Then I found a lot of interesting things. And I wrote my own one long article about that.
Yeah, I see you. Every post of yours in social media is like, somebody was like, sir, everything is like an article he writes, sir. I said, yeah, he's so passionate about what he's doing. So it is easy for us to do homework also because we know
I
what he
found
stands
that when you do deep breathing, it's an extraordinary exercise for your heart.
for. I see.
And also for some of your muscles.
Just true.
Okay, normal breathing, passive breathing involves only 23 muscles in the body. But you can do very forceful inhalation, exhalation involving 89 muscles of the body.
If you don't mind, you want to give a demonstration online to show people how to get this 89 months? No, why not? Viewers, before Professor A.G.R. shows that he has done what he has done to reduce his blood pressure and go off medications. Please don't think that, tomorrow morning you go and stop him and say, do pranayama, what he shows 10 times and stop it. You have to follow your medical doctor. Please follow up, check your blood pressure and follow what is to be done. No harm in adding pranayama into the mix, but please be very responsible for any action that you take, and don't say that it was told up by Professor A.G.R. and anchored by Dr. Sharan in a channel because of which this has happened. We are not, we're not giving you any treatment. He's just expressing his personal view of what he did for himself. So now, A.G.R., can you give a demonstration just to show that we can all
adding
apply.
To what you said, I am not saying anybody should go off medication.
Exactly. I'm just trying to make sure.
It's a supplement.
Yes, I agree. That's what I'm just trying to make that sure for people.
I'm glad so many other benefits also.
For sure.
See, I'm 65 now and I'm more active, more alert, more aware than I was 10 years before.
That's the key. The key
That's
is you
all
start,
I'm saying.
yes.
It's good for your health.
Yes. In the meantime, if some benefits like this happen, it's like a big bazaar plan, buy one, take two free, and we can be more than happy to do that. So you want to give a small demonstration?
So viewers, this is called Vastrika. So this one of the thing is, you do this forceful inhalation, forceful exhalation with also movement of your limbs.
Okay.
Like that. So when you are forcefully inhaling, now you are exercising some muscles in the shoulder also. And when you are forcefully exhalation, you are involving number of abdomen. There are 6 muscles in the abdomen which are coming into picture. And then normally there are only 11 pairs of the intercostal muscles that are coming in. There are another 2 pairs. So another 44 intercostal muscles come into picture in forceful this thing.
Interesting.
So when I learned all this, it was such a surprise.
That's why ancestrally, historically, we have been saying pranayama. Prana is actually pranayama. When you say it's not about breath, it says about life itself.
Life.
Yeah, prana means actually life.
Yes, in Tamil we say if somebody died, pranam poyidhu. Means he's gone.
Correct.
Like that. Okay.
Pranayama, what does it actually mean? Just for the sake of our
So
viewer.
pranayama is this extension of life. See, there is a belief, which I don't have any proof, that if you slow down your breath, then you breathe less number of times per minute,
Mm.
and it can extend your life. There
Which-
is a
which I-
belief.
yes,
There is a
yes.
belief that if your life is given specified, not in terms of by the Creator, whatever you may call it, as a number of breaths and not number of years.
Correct. I have also read this somewhere.
For
I also-
example, a dog breathes 30 times per minute
Mhm.
normally when it is resting, and it lives for 10 to 15 years. Whereas an elephant, which is so big, it breathes only 3 times or 4 times per minute,
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
and it lives for 80 years. And a
Mm.
turtle that also breathes only 3 times per minute, it lives 180 years.
180
it can
years,
live
huh?
up to 300 years. So it's kind of indirect evidence, but no direct this thing. So
evidence.
it's good. But there are so many other advantages. When you slow down your breath, your the sinus cavities, they produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is known to expand your blood vessels, so it can reduce your blood
Vasodilatation.
pressure.
Yes.
It can give rise to new neurons in your hippocampus.
True. Yes. That's known.
So, and it can kill viruses and bacteria. And there are so many such benefits which normally come in when you breathe through the nose. But when you slow down, now you are taking the same air in twice the time. So the amount of nitric oxide that gets mixed with the air is doubled now.
Double.
And there is another pranayama called Brahmari pranayama, where when you exhale, you have to make a humming sound like
Correct.
like that.
Correct.
And the scientist from Sweden, I think, he found out, he's a pulmonologist. Pulmonologist, for your information, he works with the lungs, studies physiology of the lung. He showed that whenever anybody hums, the amount of nitric oxide that is released is 15 times the normal.
Really?
Yes.
15 times?
15 times. It's not 15%. 15 times is
Whoa.
1500%.
Yeah.
So, and you know the benefits, you
Of course.
said that.
Then
all
nitric
that.
oxide is a very big thing to reduce risk of stroke, risk of heart
Yes.
attack, especially at nights. You have risk as for people with the CPAP, that snoring and all of those things.
And I also
It's a big
found
thing.
for premature children, if the lung is not fully developed, they actually mix nitric oxide in the air that the child breathes so that they can absorb more oxygen.
This I didn't know.
All of that.
I see.
I talked to some doctors during COVID.
Interesting.
Because this also can kill COVID viruses.
Virus. Okay.
So when I learned all of that, I was so excited as a researcher. I was interested, even though it's a little away. But anyway, I had the background of biomedical this thing. So I read a lot of medical literature even today. I get interested.
Especially you get along with doctors like me.
So I wrote an article and I wrote to one of my friends who is a director of research in Patanjali Yoga Research Foundation.
Okay.
She said, it's so wonderful. I'm writing a book on this physiology of yoga. I want to publish this as a book chapter. So I was delighted. Who expected that?
Correct.
So my confidence went up. And next year I happened to give the talk in Nimans.
Okay.
It was well received.
On what?
On this, the physiology and neural basis
of
the effectiveness of breathing exercises for the heart.
Okay.
Like that. Now I have added brain also. And we did some research.
You're encroaching in our area.
Yes. That's why I'm with you. No?
Perfect.
So recent research we have published in a very prestigious journal called IEEE Transaction Biomedical Engineering, where we showed people are breathing at a very slow rate, same amount of time for inhalation and exhalation. I call it symmetric breathing. And then another thing is symmetric breathing with hold. You inhale for X amount of time, hold for X amount of time, exhale for same amount of time, again hold for
hold in both.
Yes.
Inhalation, exhalation.
And this we did at different breathing rates. 12 breaths per minute, 8 breaths per minute, 6 breaths per minute, 4 breaths per minute and all that. And we, along with that, we recorded the brain activity, electroencephalogram, you said, 64 channel EEG. We recorded ECG, heart activity, and we also recorded the breathing pattern to make sure that they are actually following, because we used to show on a screen an expanding circle. They have to inhale when it expands, and when it comes down, they will exhale. So that the timing and all is controlled. So we also checked whether it is this thing. What we found is there is a sync between the breathing signal and the electrical signal of the brain. Direct.
Amazing.
At the same frequency, if you filter that, we call it coherence.
Correct, correct.
Okay, same frequency.
Interesting.
And at a higher, this is at a lower end because breathing signal is very low frequency compared to EEG. But EEG higher bands, which are called gamma bands, it also modulates the amplitude of the gamma band.
What do you mean by that?
When you look at the phase of the breathing signal, when it increases, the amplitude of the gamma waves increases there.
Okay.
And when it goes down, the gamma wave amplitude comes down. It's called the...
What is the how does this okay, chalo, that's a signal. How does that translate? What do you mean in real life? What is that supposed to do? Or
honestly, I don't know.
You don't.
Because I'm a... See, even other thing I found out is... See, we normally call this respiratory sinus arrhythmia. When you are breathing in, heart rate goes up. When you breathe out, heart rate comes down. This is there in all vertebrates.
Correct.
But what we found, when people are holding the breath, I could go down up to 2 breaths per minute. So 15
breaths in a minute?
Yes. 15 seconds, no, 7.5 seconds you inhale, 7.5 seconds hold, again 7.7 exhale, 7.7 hold. 15, so it comes to 30 seconds. So 2 times. That's not difficult. If you do 15 inhale, 15 exhale, it's not easy. But with a hold, it becomes relatively easier.
See.
So I found that even when there is a hold, we published it again IEEE, there is a heart rate is going up and down during the breath hold.
Interesting.
So it's not that it's only a respiration is controlling that. I don't know the mechanism. They published the paper, they said, we give the mechanism. I said, I'm an engineer. You give the mechanism.
Correct.
I can only give what I observed. We tried around 20 people, male, female and all that. Consistent behavior was there. So there are many things about the brain which we don't know.
Ask me,
People
and
have
that's
gone
why
to
I'm so excited.
People have gone to the moon, right?
Mars.
Mars.
Some what Langenhain line and all of those things, but we don't know.
There are still things,
There's so much unknown in the brain. It's just amazing.
Sorry for saying, but most allopathic doctors, you treat only head. Somebody will treat only nose. Somebody will treat only head, neck. But the body is a connected whole. When I breathe well, it controls my heart rate variability. It controls my brain signals. And there may be other things which we are not studied. So it's a connected whole, which is very much of interest to me.
No, I agree. Just to tell the viewers, see now, allopathy medicine is fundamentally a sickness medicine. You understand? Because when people are sick, they come to us. And I believe personally that allopathy medicine is strongest in surgery, emergency care, critical care, and those kind of stuff. And our job is to make the sick less sick. You understand? But wellness is not lack of sickness. I mean, not because you're not sick. In fact, if you look at the WHO's definition of health, it says health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease, deformity, or infirmity. Just because you don't have a disease, it doesn't mean you're well. It's a positive state. So what you're stating is a positive state. Exactly. What I'm doing is then not having the negative state. So somewhere the sickness and wellness has to overlap and take over. And that's where I believe that the Indian systems of medicine of Ayurveda and yoga and everything else has a significant role to play to keep us well on a day-to-day basis. And you always go back here when the sickness is happening. So as long as these two systems work together very much in tandem, I think we can, reduce the suffering in a world, or at least keep the quality of life better as we start getting better. I said, it's amazing how much of work you've done on pranayama and you continue to do that. I can see the conviction in your eyes because as a scientist, you've got evidence. Yeah, many times we can't explain everything today. I think somewhere down the line, either you or somebody else will come with some more evidence on top of the evidence that you have and so on and so forth. And that's where my teacher, my teacher who taught us neuroscience in college, Bangalore Medical College, always used to tell us, Dr. Narayan Rao, his name is. So, sir, if you're listening to this episode, thank you very much. And he would say, the student always knows better than the teacher because he's sitting on the shoulder of the teacher, so he can see farther away from the teacher.
Okay.
It's an amazing thing, how it is. So that was his own way to say that students have to be better than the teacher. If you're not better than me, then you have not learned enough because, it makes no sense for you to be exactly where I am. So that is great. So
but now that you said about this, about allopathy, alleviation of disease, can't you change curriculum to that some amounts of positive health also is introduced?
Yes, I mean, it's not that it's not there, A.G.R., but like you said, no, this somehow this the see if you see how smartly these people designed this, they call all the non-allopathy medicine, whether it's Chinese or Indian or anything else, as alternate medicine.
Mm.
And I'm struggling. What is alternate to what? Because these medicines existed before allopathy came.
Mm.
So why not call allopathy alternate, this alternate, beat? So why belittle one for the other? This is distinct. This is distinct. So you don't have to put down one to say I am better than you, because everything has its own challenges. In fact, I tell my patients very clearly when they have chronic problems like this burning and this and that, I say, see, I'm doing Sunam work. I'm only masking symptoms. And this was not said by me, it's said everywhere. In fact, in the year 2000, there was a world famous economist called Professor Paul Zane Pilza.
Mhm.
Okay, he wrote a book called The Wellness Revolution. And he wrote in one of these pages, imagine if the R&D of a company, pharmaceutical company, designs two drugs. One is a $10 drug that cures the cold forever. And other one is a $1 drug that only controls symptoms of the cold. Guess which they will market?
$1. Because you can keep on selling.
So as long as the industry is driven like this, which is money, it doesn't matter which country they are in. They're not interested in our health. And I myself am a victim, being a doctor, because I'm at the receiving end of my own health. See, I'm a human being at the end of the day. So each of us have to take responsibility for who we are, what we do, and things like this. That's where me personally, and we are exploring alternate ways of how to keep well. Because today you can't afford to fall sick, A.G.R. It's very expensive. And you're doing so much in life. So it's very important for us to understand that the habits day to day, like how you maintain your car. You can't put Coca-Cola into your car, you can't put diesel into a petrol car and expect it to run. It's not good. That discipline has to be there every single day. And that, I think, is a very important thing that I think India has the rich legacy of, alternate medicine or whatever you call it. I think we have to merge it in mainstream. I also blame these people because they say, I cure everything. See, nobody can cure everything.
That is true.
Even Krishna died, everybody. So as long as everybody is realistic to understand this, you practice this and your body will respond the best way it is possible. You have to do that at the end of the day. I think that's the best way to look at it. And the second thing is the super specialization, in the West, which is very common in the West. There's a joke in the US, they say you have a right nostril doctor and left nostril doctor. This fellow doesn't know what's happening here. This fellow doesn't know what's happening here. It's a challenge. And you can see it practically even in Bangalore, where you have a NIMHANS, which is a National Institute of Mental Health, and then you have a Sanjay Gandhi Hospital, which is a trauma center. Now Sanjay Gandhi has a neurosurgeon, but the head was being managed here, head and spine. Rest of the body was managed here.
Okay.
So there's a challenge. So even today, if a patient with a heart problem has a stroke, NIMHANS can't manage. They say go to a multi-specialty hospital, which has both cardiac and neuro. So I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying the pluses and minuses of each system, and we need to be aware of these things so that we can then manage it better in the best way possible for our patients to get better. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we are better, somebody else is not better. That's not the goal of this exercise at all.
Karnataka government, they are spending 60,000 crores per year on freebies.
Correct.
Making people lazy so that they do not work and get money. Same in Tamil Nadu, same in Arvind Kejriwal did and all that. Instead, if that 60,000 crores is spent on school education,
Quality education,
you can get amazing schools, much better than any school in the world, in Europe or America and all that.
And at a fraction of the cost for the...
At the fraction of the cost. And that will solve majority of the ills of the society.
Correct. Freebies cannot solve any problem. It may get you some votes.
Yes.
But it's not going to solve the long-term problem at all. So coming back to one more topic, we'll move out of pranayama. I took a deep breath now, I think, to slow down my heart rate. Is about the education system itself. I heard that you were so passionate about wanting to change the way people learn. And I'm with you on that, because if you remember I think more than 1 or 2 decades ago, Narayan Murthy of Infosys made this comment that 85% engineers are unemployable because what they're learning and what the industry needs are very different. And that's, The challenge is not so much in medicine because the human body is not changing much and it doesn't change much. So because of that, there's a fundamental stability in what we do. And our training is so much grounded in practicals. Right from 3.5 years, we are practical, seeing patients every day, seeing all of that. So we are really understanding what's going on. So what is your take on this whole education, the methodology of education in general, and if specific to engineering or anything else? And then we'll talk on research.
So there are three aspects I want to tell depending on the time. I'm more passionate about school education
Okay.
because there the fundamentals are given.
Correct.
It's a school which turns a child into transform a child into a responsible citizen of the world.
Correct.
And in today world, there are what I call three divides.
Okay.
The first divide is a social divide. So, people divide in terms of languages, religion,
Caste, whatever.
caste, country, all kinds of things. And within religion also, one sect of religion, kills others. This thing. People put bombs in Pakistan. Both are Muslims, but they are divided within the religion or between England and Ireland. So, all kinds of divisions. This is a social divide, and money, rich and the poor, and the powerful and the not so powerful. And in other colleges, somebody professor with a PhD and not a PhD.
Correct.
So super specialty doctor, MBBS doctor.
Correct. It keeps coming down.
Everywhere.
Or National Institute and
or between
local
doctors
institute.
and nurses.
Correct.
All kinds of. So we and all this division leads to a lot. Ultimately, many wars are because of the division, like in religion or country and all that.
Correct.
That's one. And second thing is the divide between human beings and nature. I call it ecological divide.
Okay.
In this thing, like you said a prayer, and I like this prayer, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. So it didn't say that, only Sanatana Dharma people should be, or only human beings. Sarve means all beings.
Correct.
And beings,
all beings, not just human beings.
Yes.
All beings.
It includes trees, it includes birds, it includes all living things. And then in our Sanatana Dharma, even Nadi, that is rivers also we think as living things. We say Ganga Mata, Kaveri Mata and all that. So, but when you divide that, we and then nature, we have to only exploit. That's why, they are there for helping us. But they can be there without, if no human beings are there, nature will survive. But if nature is not there, human beings not will survive.
I agree with you completely.
Okay. And the way we utilize as human beings, we need to match the regenerative capacity of the nature.
Correct.
It's understood that around the current in the world average is 1.8 times the average regenerative capacity human beings are using.
Oh, 1.8 times?
1.8 times.
That means we are more than maximized it. Oh, that means
is
we are
general
on
average. But if you take the so-called great country USA, it is 5 times.
And they're putting all the penalty on us. That's what
and they will advise the world.
Yeah, and the developing countries say, why should we pay the penalty for your misuse of this carbon stuff?
So the question is whether we will kill the nature first and then we will die, or we will kill ourselves to war and other things. So this is ecological divide. Third is I call spiritual divide, where I am distancing from my own core, inner core. See, all our this thing says that the inner core of every human being is pure.
Correct.
But because of my interest in money or position or power and all that, I move away from what is really
corrupted.
I corrupt my own mind, and slowly distances people. In US they say 20% of the people have this thing, depression. So first it starts with loneliness, then depression, ultimately suicide.
Correct. Alcoholism, drug addiction, everything happens.
Suicide, it goes into several lakhs.
I know.
Per year.
No, A.G.R, not only US, in Japan, the number one killer is suicide. See, when I was standing, I used to catch the local trains in Japan. Every railway platform was patrolled by security people because people jump into trains. And they reached the stage they put gates on the platform so people don't jump, 5 feet gates. And the door will open only at the door level. So all that is happening even in Japan. Such a developed country, which means, the upstairs is developed.
So I personally feel that all these divides can be healed if we teach the children better.
Fantastic. Value-based education.
Value-based education, moral education, how they can learn some simple rules to keep their health better, and then ego thinking to eco thinking. All that can be easily taught
I think
in
these
schools.
parents also have to be taught it, because the parents only want them to go to the best school, will take them international, make more
of
money.
course.
I
I
think the
cannot only
culprit-
change the school without parents accepting.
Yeah.
So it's a social
Because the
thing.
market is responding to the parents.
Yeah, so this is, in Landmark we learnt about individual transformation. So this is about system transformation.
System.
So I'm learning something on system transformation now.
Oh, right now?
Yes.
Oh, why don't you tell our viewers about that?
This is based on something called Theory U by one Otto Scharmer, who is in the MIT Sloan Management School. He advises even you and other people, he's a big shot in that he has written a lot of books, but all his material, he has made it open source. It's available for the world. And this, whatever I talked about 3 divides, is from him. And he has his own methods of how systems can be changed. So you cannot deal with a single people, you have to deal with the whole thing, all the stakeholders.
Correct.
He says if there is an industry, even the family of the employee is a stakeholder, he says. Because if I'm not doing very well with my wife and she gets upset, then it will affect my productivity in the office.
Absolutely.
So it's like he really looked at the whole system. And so we need to, like you rightly said, I cannot change the school without impacting the parents' viewpoint.
True.
So we need to really work, but we need to do that.
We need to, I think.
But otherwise we will kill ourselves as a society.
Correct.
So that's why I'm very passionate about
I'm
school
glad
education.
I hope, somebody listens from the education department.
Yes.
Or, the powers may be. Because you and me have no
for
role
example,
to play.
in Karnataka government, they are spending 60,000 crores per year on freebies.
Correct.
Making people lazy so that they do not work and get money. Same in Tamil Nadu, same in Arvind Kejriwal did and all that. Instead, if that 60,000 crores is spent on school education,
Quality education,
you can get amazing schools, much better than any school in the world, in Europe or America and all that.
And at a fraction of the cost for the...
At the fraction of the cost. And that will solve majority of the ills of the society.
Correct. Freebies cannot solve any problem. It may get you some votes.
Yes.
But it's not going to solve the long-term problem at all. It's just kicking the the bottle to the next this one, that. So
what I'm passionate about, every school should be extraordinary school.
Agreed.
Like a Jawahar Vidyalaya, or at least like a Kendriya Vidyalaya.
Correct.
And it should be available next to your house.
And it's not the show.
Within few kilometers.
It is the quality inside.
Everybody should have it.
Agreed.
And the parent should be clear that the school will provide whatever they want the child to.
Correct.
And it will bring out the best in the child.
True.
And it should be free or affordable.
Affordable. I think nothing can be free, A.G.R. It has to be, can be.
No, but we are paying taxes. No, so many things. See, we have money for spending for great roads. They are talking about smart cities.
True.
We have money for bullet trains. We have money for new airports. We have money for everything.
Education,
new
health.
IITs, new AMS. But why not money for elementary education, I say?
Education and health.
Which is more important, tell me.
Absolutely. These are the two fundamental things.
Yes.
Fundamental human rights is also about education and health. Then it's like, say, you don't give the fish, teach them how to fish. I think this is fundamentally what is going to happen, and make them future ready so that they can, then they'll build the nation at the end of the day. That's what they will be responsible for.
About the engineering education, one of the things is Narayan Murthy himself is responsible by bringing all these IT industries. They don't do any great engineering. They're not even engineers. That's why computer is called computer science. Anybody can do programming. I know people who are not engineers who are successfully doing in IT industry.
Agree.
So they convert everybody into IT fellows.
Correct.
And colleges are mushroomed thanks to politicians and all that. And there is no statistics how many engineers are required in each discipline. See, as a nation, we need to know.
Correct.
And then you don't produce more than plus minus 10%. Then you won't have this problem.
Correct.
So simply one day you see that, computer science is getting good salaries. So every college is computer science. Then suddenly that demand is low and the supply is very high.
And then they say there's no jobs. It makes sense because some
And
of the other things are
research,
going upbringing. Research.
we
sorry.
don't have much time. So research, the main problem is research should be only done by people who are passionate for research. Here today,
But
most
how do you
people,
create the passion?
that again comes to school education, college education. You need to, I feel personally, you need to invite people who have done extraordinarily well in their life,
And
who had a
inspire.
passion for something in their life.
Correct.
They should come and talk to people. Not just books alone is not, and that's
I
not
agree.
education.
I agree.
And Vivekananda said, good education is that you inculcate the value of ongoingly learning himself for the student. Once you finish that, then purpose of education is over. Now, because he knows how to learn. Today, every information that you want is available on the internet or somewhere.
True.
But the passion is not there.
Correct. Absolutely. The passion is missing.
So,
Information is there.
we need to really work on how to create that passion in the school children.
Correct.
Same thing in research. Research, see, in Landmark, they used to say, this, what is that? Something is decisive. What is it?
The context is
Context is decisive. So, what I'm thinking inside decides what I do and what results I get.
Correct.
So, in Otto Scharmer, he says in a different thing, the result of an intervention is directly dependent on the internal state of the person. So, people do research to either get promotion or get funds from somewhere. So, nobody is doing research for the passion. See, when C.V. Raman did research, he didn't get any great government funds. He was doing it during British times, and the evenings he used to come. He was an accountant. He used to come and work in the evenings.
Correct.
He was passionate to do something, learn something.
True.
That should be research.
And he got the Nobel Prize.
You shouldn't force everybody to do research.
True.
If you don't do research, I won't get you ascended persons. So everybody somehow wants to do some research, somehow publish something.
Correct.
So it has become useless.
Correct. I agree.
I feel that, see, I had great teachers in my BE and PhD tech. Nobody had PhD, but they were extraordinary teachers. You don't need everybody to be a PhD to teach. That teaching is different from research.
True.
So research should be only for people who are really motivated by learning to do something for the society. That kind. All research should be applied unless 5% of the people maybe of the order of Einstein or C.V. Raman. Those people should be allowed to do some theoretical and pure research. Other people have to do applied research. It should solve some problem out in the world, either for the medical world or some other vertical.
I completely am with you on that, because if it is not solving a person, see, today we see suffering on the ground every day. There is zero sense for somebody to sit somewhere in some air-conditioned room and talk some faddas which is of no use for anybody. In fact, I call it, with due respect, intellectual masturbation. And that's what I call it, because there's no point doing these words. Because I'm trying to be as straight as possible, guys, because there's no point being nice. Because you have to tell the truth the way it is. It hurts people. Let me be honest. Only when it hurts people, you actually want to change and make a transformation. Otherwise, you'll just put putty on that and continue to do as if nothing has happened. And that nothing has happened cannot happen. If you're having chest pain, you can't put something and go away. You have to go and address it. That's the way it is at the end of the day. So your motto that you have said here, that the message you want to give the world. So can you explain to them what you meant by that motto that you have said there? And why did you say what you have said?
So I said, who I am is love.
Correct.
I love humanity, everybody. And whatever I said, even if it looks like hurting somebody, but I really want people to realize and make their life better. So the technology that we develop in this thing, I told you, we are trying to empower, disabled people.
True.
So if I want to make a better school or a better college, and they will become better citizens. So I want to create a world that works for everyone, that's compassionate, loving, and equitable.
Absolutely.
So, and if everybody is working towards that, and if we have the right kind of schools which prepares that kind of students, and who will become useful citizens, everybody can live a fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
And every profession is needed. People ask, which one I should do? I said, I will not answer that question, because all are needed.
Absolutely.
You do what you like.
I agree. Where you want to impact the life of them. Agreed. Great show. taking a deep breath to slow down in my heart. A.G.R, it was a fantastic chat. I think I hope I can see that you also enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed listening to you. I think like all good things have to come to an end. I think this current chat has to come to an end.
Okay.
And I think we can do so much more to it. But I think we
will continue without the mic.
Yes, we have really set the context, guys. By all the viewers, please understand, Prof. A.G.R coming from the ground, going through the grind, going through all that he has done, has really given extraordinary tips. And there's so much of juice in what he has said. Please pick up one or two of what he has said and apply it in your lives. And I think you will be a much better human being. But remember one thing, it is nation first, society second, you last. If you can work from that context, I think it just becomes very easy for you, because then it's nothing about you anymore. So, like I repeat again, we are in the podcast of creating awareness and education. Please subscribe to our channel. We also have a book called Rebooting the Brain book. There's Rebooting the Brain documentary. Pick up anything that you want and get started on rebooting your brain, rebooting your mind, rebooting your soul. Everything has to be rebooted, like how you reboot your systems. Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon, share it with people, share this link to other people so that they can subscribe to our channel and get the knowledge and the wisdom and the help that they need to make themselves or the children better citizens of this country. And last but not the least, it's very important to know to take care of yourself, guys. It's most important, because we want productive, healthy human beings. Jai Hind. Thank you, A.G.R, again. It's a pleasure talking to you. Any last message you want to give the audience?
Yeah, I want to tell the youth, select a job that you are passionate about. This thing is about people living a fulfilling life.
Yes.
So take up a job, not for money, not for something else. If you are really passionate and give whatever you have in any profession, you can make money. You need to be a little smart, but that can be learned. At the end of the day, you should be fulfilled about what you did and not become tired. Oh, I did so much. So don't select this thing. One of my swamis whom I know, he said these IT people are, they keep jumping from jobs.
Correct.
So they said it's intellectual prostitution. You give a little more money, I'll just
People
jump.
are going to kill us with all these words that we are using. But I think we are calling it so, because as scientists, we have to
say the facts, because I don't want to mince it. And that is what it is. Because that is what driving people into all kinds of this loneliness, sadness, depression, all that. Because if you keep on doing some things just because of money, you don't like it. Somewhere, it's going to hurt you yourself, your mind.
Well said. I agree with you completely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again for all the chat that
Thanks
we
for
had.
the opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure.
Really love.
So, as a customary thing in this podcast, we always give a book to our guests. Okay. This is the book, like I was telling you, about Rebooting the Brain. So we hope it helps you reboot your brain further. So that I don't want you to forget who you are, but anyway, anything else. But it's very valuable. Please give us your feedback.
I know this is from your life.
Yes. So please give us the feedback, and we'd be honored to hear from you once. Way. We know Salman Khan as a Dabangg star. We know him as the six packs and all of those things. Everybody knows him for that macho thing. And he is talking in the video of his personal experience with something called the suicide disease. Is there really something called that? I mean, what is that all about? He's holding his hand like this. He's saying how it went here. What really is going on with the guy? Poor guy, he was struggling for such a long time. Can you tell our audience what this is all about? What was he talking? We'll go deeper later, but just as an introduction.
So, Mr. Salman Khan had a condition called trigeminal neuralgia, which in colloquial terms is called suicide disease.
Okay.
What happens is we all have 12 nerves in a face, and the fifth nerve is the most important nerve when it comes to transmitting sensations and moving your mouth and your jaw. Mm-hmm. The fifth nerve can get irritated or compressed at any point of time from its course in the brain to the face. and compression of that nerve causes irritation of that nerve, and any nerve related pain we call it neuralgia. So this is called trigeminal neuralgia. Who had this herpetic neuralgia on the chest, and it was so bad. She told me this, and that when he came to her, it was 4 years since he had the neuralgia, and for 4 years he never wore a shirt or a baniyan. He would be bare chested.
Really?
Irrespective of the weather condition.
My
Summer,
goodness.
winter.
Shit.
For 4 years, he
Very
never
sad.
hugged his grandchildren.
My goodness. My goodness.
Right? And so when she did the block for him, the first thing he did is went and hugged his grandchildren because his pain came down.
Amazing. I mean, what a
Which is such a moving story.
I agree. But I heard from somebody that you do black magic and all that. What's that story all about? Huh?
So
Please educate us about
yes.
what kind of black magic do you
I'm
do?
more than happy to tell you that story. So in my OPD, there is a model of skull because we see a lot of patients with trigem. So I have a skull model to explain where the needle goes. There is a knee model, there is a spine model. So there was a patient who had come in with another relative for something else, but he was sitting near the OPD and he was observing this. And I kept going back and forth between the skull, the spine and the knee, those bones. So he came in and I'm sitting in my OPD very well dressed with a tie and an apron. So he knocked on the door and said, "Doctor, are you..." The first question. Didn't even say doctor. "You're a doctor?" I said, "Yeah."
And this is in Manipal Hospital, huh?
No, this was not in Manipal.
okay.
Fortunately, not in Manipal. So he came to me and said, "Are you a doctor?" I said, "Yeah." "MBBS doctor?" I said, "Yeah." "No, you do black magic?" So I was a little flabbergasted. Why is he asking me about black magic? "No, I saw somewhere pain management and you have skull bone." So one of the things that I hear a lot from my patients is when they come back after a variable period of having suffered a problem is that, so I asked them, why are you coming after 8 months, 9 months? So a lot of them tell me that we were told nothing can be done. In fact, there is a video of, I don't want to name the person, who's a very reputed doctor. He says, in old age, just say Hare Rama, Hare Krishna and continue to live your life in pain.
Are you serious? Hare Rama only. That statement actually, you are going contrary to that whole thing by saying...
No, I didn't say that.
No, I know. No. In the sense that what you are offering right now is the pain is inevitable with age, but the suffering is optional.
Yeah. So what I tell patients is, don't suffer. Maintain a good posture.
Correct. Ergonomics.
Right? Hydrate yourself very well.
Correct.
In India, people want to have all sorts of water except the actual water.
H2O.
Other than that, any form of water will do. Avoid alcohol, smoking. Big, we all know that smoking is one of the very important causes for spondylolysis.
True.
Right? The abused word, spondylolysis, is because of the abuse that they are doing to them. 8 hours of sleep. This is something that I always stress. Chronic pain, people who develop chronic pain, if you dig into their history, you will inevitably find poor sleeping habits. They will either not sleep or keep playing with their phones, or for some reason, sleep is affected. And when you say sleep, I also mean the quality of sleep.
Correct.
Do you sleep for the heck of it? Do you get up waking fresh?
Correct. That's exactly.
And
So that's the only way to know we have got up well when we wake up fully fresh, ready to conquer the world.
Absolutely.
Rather than crawling out of bed and
getting out of
literally,
bed. And the last one is I can never stop emphasizing on the importance of exercise in your life.
Agreed.
Right? 30 minutes of, if you cannot do, I'm not saying go to the gym and lift weights, but do 30 minutes of walking, jogging, running in the morning, and do 30 minutes of jogging, walking, running. That's it. If you can swim, great. Right? But jogging, running, walking, you can do wherever you are under, from the Arctic pole to the Antarctic pole, right? You can do it anywhere. So ensuring that these 5 disciplines will make sure that not only those non-communicable disease, diabetes, hypertension, but it will also get rid of the 5th largest problem in the world, which is chronic pain.
So it's like a big bazaar plan. Buy one, take 3 free.
Buy one, get 5 free.
5 free. Chalo, 5 free.